Truck 359 back at you again. You want to see my face? Here I am. But another thing about the slush when it first starts out like the snow out here is when it does this wetness here like it's doing out on the road and stuff, it'll when it gets cold it'll freeze overnight. So another point FYI for people that are walking out here and stuff is be very, very careful when you're walking. You know, be very, very careful when you're walking. Because the ice can be mistook under the snow as just, oh well, you know, it's just snow, it's not a big deal. Then you go and slip on your ass, excuse my language, slip on your behind. Well, with me, I know that when this stuff comes along like it does, and when this stuff comes along like it does, and it's already a pain in the ass with the slush, because a lot of people ain't paying attention and whatnot, they tend to overreact when they start to slide with the ice out on this road here. And the worst part is if you have a truck like mine and you're going to a place like I'm going to Subway up on 10th Avenue South to go do an interview, the best thing to do is, like, when I'm driving, instead of driving and being like, oh shit, you know, my truck's sliding this and that, I've already been out in the snow the last year or two of driving in the wintertime, so I'm kind of used to, you want to say, the snow stuff and how the truck reacts. But when you're first starting out, you know, the best thing to do is, like, when you're coming up here, up to the stop sign, lightly do the brake and keep your vehicle slowing down enough to where if you do have to stop on a dime, it don't slide that much. Same thing with the gas. You feather the gas when you're going up the hill, and you always check to make sure that nobody's coming along, because if you do, it'll save you a ton of time and a ton of tenseness and worrisome and all that crap. Because shit, where the hell is Subway? Because I think it's back down now. That's alright. Because you don't want to be tense out here when you're driving in the snow. Believe me. If you're tense out here, you make mistakes. And you know, I remember a couple people mentioned to me, well, you know, they don't like other people driving and stuff out here, you know, whatnot, and you know, like a friend driving another friend to the grocery store or something, you know, because they can't get out in the snow. Well, they don't, you know, some people, they're worried like, oh no, you know, the truck's gonna slide out this and this. Well, see, with me, the thing is I've had, you know, I've been driving the same truck for 3 years now, you know, and I know how my truck reacts. I know what it needs to do. I've been in the snow. I've driven in two-wheel drive most of the places, so I'm not too worried about it. Plus, I got snow and ice tires on my truck, so you know, it's like you don't worry about it too much. But hopefully y'all can hear me. If not, when I check the video when I stop, you know, at Subway or whatnot, and I get done with the interview and I check the video, drive my way back home. If y'all can't hear me, I'll figure out something. But I'm pretty sure you guys can. But y'all can. But yeah, I mean, like coming up to the stop to this yield sign. The reason why I ain't doing this very slow at the first part and just kind of rolling or coasting is because, like I said, I know my truck, but a lot of people, they don't know, you know, if if a person's capable of driving. Well, the best thing to do is find a spot out there, out in this town, if you're in Great Falls or wherever you're at, and find a spot where you can learn how to do stuff with your vehicle. So sometimes, like if I have an open spot and I see this car pulling out, I'm going to feather the gas to where it's still going up the hill, so I'm still getting traction. But at the same time, I'm not sliding everywhere, you know, I'm not sliding out, I'm not, you know, having major problems getting going. And just like this traffic here, I feather the brake, but it's still enough to stop me because I'm on the hill. And as soon as I get a clear opening, I will get going. Just clear opening here. in a hard braking situation. You're not right on the bumper or somebody. This is stuff that I learned by doing, believe it or not. This is stuff that I had to comprehend doing my own stuff, you know. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass because when you're driving and you're trying to explain stuff, it doesn't work out too well, you know, when you're first starting out. Because, like I said, being tense is the most difficult thing to have when you're driving in the snow and ice. You know, when you're driving in the snow and ice, the last thing you want on your mind is to be tense, to be like, oh shit, you know, and gripping the steering wheel real hard. Excuse my language again. So to me, it's like I just don't let traffic push me around. I take it slow when I'm coming up to intersections. I stay aware, and when I have an opportunity, I don't gun it, try to get going like that. I just feather the gas enough to get in. Now, like for example, this parking lot, right? For Subway. Over here is a good spot to practice if there's nobody around that's gonna mess stuff up. So if you want to practice learning about maybe what happens when you accelerate, you can just, and you'll feel it. And then same thing with the braking. See how it goes? And of course, yes, I know how to drift in the snow, but I ain't doing it because I don't want to get in trouble. But that's what you do, is you just practice. Same thing with going in reverse. When you're reversing and you want to check something, you know, and you're backing up, that's how much it stops for that speed. And you get used to it, you know, you get used to how it turns and how you get going with the snow and how your truck feels, because you'll be listening to it. And then when you're driving and you're doing the wheel, you can feel where it's going to grip and stuff like that. So I'm going to park here so I don't look like a fruitcake driving in, and go do my interview. But yeah, that's just a few things to let you know. You know, the main thing is find a spot like that, just do a little bit here and there, and it gives you that confidence because you're not hitting into anything, there's nothing around. But at the same time, you're feeling how your vehicle's going. You're feeling how it's reacting and stuff. And if it wasn't for Subway right there, and it was just a regular if this was just a regular parking area with residential people, I'd probably do a lot more. I'd probably show you about when the truck slides, how to turn the wheel the right way. So when you're sliding in the snow and your truck's going this way, and you're sliding in the snow, you can learn how to slowly kind of counter steer and let off the gas and kind of keep it coasting and learn how to do that. But since I'm here at Subway, that you can see back there with those cars and stuff, I don't want them to, you know, think I'm a young kid racing around or something when I get in trouble with the cops. So, you know, because I'm a law-abiding guy, so. But, yeah, those are just a few things that people worry about when, if you want to say, like, a grandma has a son, and the son's like, hey, you know, I can't get out with my car, but I know Fred over there can give me a ride, you know. Or the daughter says, I know that Fred over there can give me a ride. Well, you know, they're kind of skeptical, like, well, can that person drive? Can that person this and this? Well, that's why I'm making these snow videos, is because if I could show, or, you know, if a person. But with me, if we can show in the snow that the main part of it is not to be tense, is to be aware, keep your surroundings, look at what you're doing, you know, look around. Like, for example, you know, look around, like, be aware when you're driving, you know, like, here's where I'm positioned with my head. Look around while I'm driving, but still pay attention to the front with the wide vision, and look in my mirrors, check everything, make sure everything's good. Check my rear view, make sure everything's fine there. Know that I'm feathering the gas. And what I mean by feathering the gas is instead of putting it to the floor to get going, you know, you feather the gas, you just ease it to it. You don't like that. Same thing with the brake over here. You know, when you're doing the brakes and you're coming up, and like let's say I gotta stop at that house across the way, that nice tan yellowish house. I'm not gonna hit the brakes like, whoa shit, you know, I'm gonna ease onto the brake and slow down way back here before I get up to that house. So y'all take care, and hopefully I'll have enough to show another video. I think I do, because it's only been 10 minutes. Let's see what time it is. And get my watch out here for a minute, so I know what time it is. Dang, jackets nowadays always bunching stuff up. Let's see. Oh, 9:30. Enough time to make a smoke, talk to you a little more about things. But yeah, same thing with same thing with like driving in an icy condition. You know, just doing, if I was driving in an icy condition right now, just doing what I did there in that little bit, just kind of doing a U-turn basically, and coming back to park in this parking spot. If I did that little bit there with that ice or that slush and snow on top of ice that you can't see, I'm gonna be sliding far down there at whatever speed, because there's no vehicle that I've came across that I know, unless they have spiked tires, that can stop on the ice. The only way to prevent that is to be slow, safe, take your time. Same thing with walking. If you're walking somewhere and you don't walk very good because, you know, your old grandma going down the block to go get a jug of milk or something, or you know, some Swiss Miss cocoa so your grandkids can have some, and you're walking with the grandkids, that old lady don't want to fall on her behind. I'm pretty sure that old lady wants to make it home. You know, don't want to break no hip. Well, or break a leg or whatever, you know. Well, walking slow, taking it easy, being aware. If you start to slip a little bit, try to get some grip. If you can't, try not to fall on your leg, kind of fall to the side or on a spot where it's not that bad, like an arm or something, you know. But just basically take it easy, you know, check it out. Maybe walk down the road to the local store, or walk to the end of the block or wherever you live at. See how it feels, so you know when you're walking and you got to be in a hurry to get to a job, or you got to be in a hurry to get to the store because the grandkids want the Swiss Miss or whatever. You know how to handle yourself. You're not walking out there. Now, some people, they can't help it. No matter how hard they try, they just don't have, you know, a very good center of gravity, or if you want to say stability, or balance. And some people, it's hard for them to get around, and that's why they prefer to have some kind of transportation that gets them closer to the school. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people don't trust others around to help them, you know, and it's kind of a damn shame in a way, you know. It's, excuse my language, but, you know, it kind of, it's like, yeah, I never had nobody around, but you know, I'm able to get around, I'm able to do things, you know. And to me, if I get a bump and bruise and scrape, I'm like, pfft, you know. But sometimes there's people out there that need help. Sometimes there's people out there that would rather be closer to wherever they're at than have to walk, you know, a half a mile or a quarter mile or whatever. So, you know, with that being said, it's like, maybe sometimes the best thing to do is, if there's somebody like, hey, you know, I know on this lady for 5 years, she's a good driver, she's driven in the snow, she's never had any accidents, just that another thing, and this person wants to get closer to, you know, their work or whatever. By all means, let the person bring them closer to there, because in the long run, then they don't have to worry about missing work time, or they don't have to worry about you know, being out in the snow and everybody walking by and the grandkids are like, hey, somebody help, you know, this and this kind of thing. They'll be able to make it because they have means of making it. And that's I don't know, that's just a quabble that I have, you know. That's just one of my pet peeves is, if somebody needs help, don't sit there and just say, well, you gotta deal with it. If they have troubles and they need help, you help them, you know. It don't matter what the viewpoint of it is, of saying, well, you gotta be tough about it. Shit. When I was 7 years old, I was taking care of family. I still tried to balance taking care of family, balance eating, balance going to school, a lot of stuff, you know. And a lot of people, they say, well, you know, you're a different kind of person that basically society's telling me that they don't like. Well, I'm sorry that you don't like me, but there's far and few of people like me that try to help others out, whether it's videos or, helping them out. And a lot of people, they won't accept that. They want some fucking suit and tie professor with what is a lame deal to do it. And it's like, why don't you have somebody experienced do it? It's like the trucking, for example. You put a new driver in trucking just because he has a certification that says, yes, I know about trucks, or a better one is you put a truck driver in a truck because he finished his high school, he's got a 2-year college degree and fucking basic stuff, and, the basic college stuff, just like basic high school stuff, with general stuff, and you sit there and put them in that big rig, and they end up being out on the ditch because they have no experience with that big rig. But they say, oh, that's the right person, that's the right candidate. Yeah, until things don't work out the way it should be. But then somebody that can hop into that big rig that may not have all that nice high school degree and the suit and tie, pencil neck kind of stuff, excuse my words, but, I got a freedom of speech, so they put them, the driver, I'm just saying that um, goes through all the stuff, works hard, finally gets his CDL, finally gets into a truck, and they always doubting him. They're always saying, no, we ain't gonna hire you. No, we ain't gonna hire you. Finally, some small mom and pop operation says, yeah, we'll give you a try, man. We got a couple day cabs. We need some feed hauled from Jeff's feed store down to the mill, or vice versa, and he drives. He's doing good, very good record. Well, by the time he gets done trying to show or trying to do his job and get into the big trucking companies, either one, there's no position for the trucking companies, or like, well, that's good, but now you're too old, you're 40 years old, we're looking for the ones in the 20s. And that's how most of my life been. It's like, when I try to go and help somebody, and I try to go and do something right for somebody, I always get it spit back in my face just because I'm not no, degree, nice looking car, clothes, respectable, freaking, pencil neck with the suit and tie crap. And it's like, out here in this world, when people go through the stages of their kid years, their teenage years, and then when they become an adult, the more that they're sheltered, the more that they're going to have a peach of a time learning all the stuff that they need to learn just on the basis to be an adult in this world. There's a lot to driving. There's a lot to knowing how to interact with people different ways, because some people know how to play games on others and manipulate them for what they want. Whether it's for beer, like my ex-girlfriend always did. She would always be nice and caring, and then as soon as I don't buy her beer, or I don't have the money to buy her beer, or my family buy her beer, actually, because at the time I wasn't 21, she would get mad and yell at me and call me names and all this stuff. Well, she manipulated me, and then finally I got to a point where I didn't want to deal with it anymore, so I stopped, and then it's what it is. Now, with me, I'm not manipulating nobody. I'm out here to try to help people. And if the haters want to hate me, that's fine. But one big thing I want to say is if somebody is turning to people that they have in their lives, and those people don't lift a finger, but somebody out of the blue that they've known for at least a good while, more than just a couple days or a couple weeks, knowing them for a good few months, says, hey, you having troubles getting to the store? The old lady goes, yeah. It's like, hey, I live down a couple blocks. Why don't I give you a ride? At first, she's going to be like, well, this and this. It's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Just trust me. It'll be okay. The lady may not trust me, but she sees the kids and sees the grandkids and everything. She's like, well, shit, I got to get that Swiss Miss for him. So she says, all right, well, this and this, and she makes sure her phone's on, she's ready to go, got her mace and all that stuff. She gets into the vehicle, into my Suburban, let's say. It's just a scenario, a make-believe scenario. an example. And I drive her down to the store. She gets a Swiss Miss. Everything's fine. The kids are joking around. I'm like, oh yeah, this and this and this, and being totally friendly. She gets back home, and the kids are like, well, hey, where were you? You know, not the grandkids, but the kids of the grandmother, you know, and which would be their mother and stuff. And they go, Ma, where were you at? We were worried, this, that, and other thing. And the grandmother's like, well, I was walking down the road, and then, you know, I started slipping and stuff, and so I stopped, and I was kind of worried, and I was thinking of calling you guys and stuff, and then this guy a couple blocks down the road offers me a ride, and at first I'm kind of skeptical, but I had my mace and everything else and this, and he brought me back home safely. He didn't do anything, you know. And, you know, let's say I'm an old man, you know, around the same age as this grandmother, you know. And the kids of the grandmother goes, well, hey, well, that ain't right. Well, you shouldn't do that, you know, because this and this and this. She's like, how, you know, and she's smart enough. The grandma goes, well, that's true, but how do we know if that guy's nice or not unless we interact with him, unless we get to know him? You know, you're prejudging people before you get to know them just because you're worried about the crap out here in the world. And then the grandma goes, I made it 50 years or 60 years in this society, I can make it a little bit longer. And then they argue a little bit, and then finally the kids understand that the grandmother's just going to be set in their ways. Well, same just with the vice versa. Maybe the grandmother might be saying that stuff, but the son or daughter is set in their ways. And to be honest, if you force them not to understand about why the situation is and sit down with them and talk to them about it and tell them the goods and bads about it, they're just gonna basically block themselves or lock up. You know, they'll hear you, but they're not gonna imprint it in their mind. They're just thinking in their mind, they're wrong, I'm right. And that's the part of arguing, and that's where things go to hell in a handbasket. So with me, it's like, why don't, for that scenario, why doesn't the grandmother, or if you want to flip it around, say the kids, either one, take the time to sit down and say, well, look, this and this is why I'm concerned, and this and that, but, you know, if this seems like a nice guy, let's see who he is. He lives a couple blocks down the road. He seems like he's got a head on his shoulders. He hasn't done anything to you, you know, so it seems like things are fine. Let's go talk to him, even just say hi. You know, you're the one that gave our grandmother a ride, or you're the one that gave my son or daughter a ride. Yes, I did. Well, that's mighty nice of you. I'm just kind of skeptical about stuff because, you know, the stuff going on today. Oh yeah, not a problem at all. I understand. If you like, I can, you know, once in a while come by, say hi. You know, if I happen to see you in the neighborhood or something, we can talk a little bit. You can see where I live and different things like that, and get to know each other eventually, and things will be fine. But there's too many people in this world that are so fucking, excuse my language, so freaking overprotective that it's like, nah, it's not right, you know. So my advice to those people that are overprotective and like freaking out about stuff and everything, eventually the little birdie's gonna fly out the nest, and there's nothing. Well, the little birdie's gonna fly out the nest, and when the little birdie flies out the nest, of course it's gonna be worrisome. But wouldn't it be better to have somebody around them when they fly out the nest that the bigger parent bird got to know, so that way when they go out in the world, the little birdie that flies out the nest, they have a running start instead of not even knowing where to begin? I mean, that would be a lot more making sense. But like my family says, it don't matter. Well, to me, it don't matter, but it does matter. You know. Anyways, I gotta go in because I got a 10 o'clock appointment. It's 9:45. I like to be 15 minutes early, but so I'm gonna end this video here. Hopefully, I'll have enough video left to show driving in the snow and everything. But in between times, when I have extra time, I like to talk about things. You know, I like to express a lot of my, if you want to say, wisdom or experience in the world, because then if the people that are following me that like what I'm doing, or like my pictures, or like my snow driving, or like my talk piece commentary, have people that are worried or like, well, who's this guy, why are you following him, this and this, they can watch this video and they can hear about me talking about making sense and hear me talking about things. And to be honest, if those people want to contact me, email me, talk to me, say, hey, look, who are you? I'll explain to you. I'll tell you. I'll say, look, I'm this, that, and other thing. If they want to call me up, I'll give them my phone number, And, if they want to come, if they want to talk to me, talk to me. I mean, I have nothing to hide. I've been the type of guy my whole life. When you ask me something, I'll tell you straightforward. I'll tell you how it is, whether it's offensive or not, So, I gotta go. But, yeah, that's what I do. So, if anybody else wants to know about me, watch these videos. I'll tell you.